All right, so we're here with Jib, who just got top 4 in the 3v3 at Rocky Mountain Collectables.
Yep.
He played a similar list to his teammate Justin, so we're just going to go over those and the differences. And then Peter, we're going to have a separate video for him. Because he played an entirely different list.
All right, so for this weekend, we decided for the 1v1 event and 3v3 event, we decided to play LYRILUSC TRI-BRIGADE. We thought that it was the best deck by far. We thought that it had one of the strongest boards going first, and it can play through the most going second. So we decided to play it. The difference between our two builds is I decided to go more for board breaker cards, while he decided to main deck hand traps. I main deck no hand traps. So this is what I decided to play. I played 3 copies of Turquoise Warbler. It's the start of the deck. You want to open, most of the 2-card combos revolve around this card. The special summons another LYRILUSC from your hand or grave. 3 Cobalt Sparrow. This is like the main card that you want to grab off of Warbler. It searches any winged beast level 1 winged beast monster. It's really strong. 3 copies of Celestial Wagtail. This is a new card that just came out in SINGH. It searches like the main spell card of the deck. It's basically a Rhoda for your Rhoda. 3 copies of Barrel Canary. This is the best extender in the whole deck. Basically, it allows you to play through Nibiru, and it allows you to push for a lot of game shots. And then the last bird that I played 2 copies of Sapphire Sparrow. Shout out to Tub for convincing me to play multiple copies of this. You only need one for your main combo, but the second one comes up in the grind game because this format, a lot of people are maining cards like Dark Relay and Droplets. So when they break your board, you need the second Sapphire in order to continue to play. So that was it for the birds. I played a lot of birds for this weekend. For the TRI-BRIGADE monsters, I played 3 copies of Fractal. It's the best Tri monster. It basically has a lot of synergy with this deck because it just sends any LYRILUSC card for you to reborn them with the main starters of the deck. And then the main synergy between the deck is 3 copies of Nerval. Basically, Cobalt Sparrow can search Nerval, so it basically ties the whole deck together and allows you to have a lot more pushes than you're supposed to. I think this deck is really strong. Then for the other Tri monsters, 1 copy of Kit, 1 copy of Karis. You need these cards for the Oath combo, and this is that combo is the main way that allows you to play through cards like Dropless and Dark Relay, so you need to play those. And then for the last 2 monsters in the main that are like non-hand traps, I played 1 copy of Mist Valley Apex Avian. I didn't play the Wind Barrier statue because I didn't feel like it solved any of the problems of the deck. And then I teched 1 copy of DD Curl. So during your combo, you get 1 burner search with a card in the extra deck, and I decided to use that in order to search DD Curl because I expected a lot of Phantom Knights and mirror matches, and I think this card is decent in the mirror and really good against Phantom Knights, and so I decided to play that. And then I did decide to play hand trap this weekend. I decided to main 3 copies of Droll. So the night before the 1v1 event, I talked to some of my friends. Shout out to Lund and Tub and also Astral. So we talked about it.
I wanted to play Droll too.
Justin told me to play Droll too, but I mentioned it to I also mentioned it to them because we were talking about we had talents in this slot and no one is playing hand traps, so we decided that we wanted a card for the mirror. And Justin went even farther by playing a bunch of hand traps, which also went crazy this weekend.
There's also another cool thing about this card too. It's like if your hand's like just like Warbler, Sapphire, Droll, you can just like special Warbler, normal Droll, grab Nerval, and then you special with those 2.
Yeah, then it's
like a level 1, right? It's kind of like the same theory like with Drytron being a level 1.
And this card went really crazy this weekend. Like I played a lot of mirrors throughout the entire weekend, and like I played against a couple of Drytrons also. And having this in the main just like allows you to get a chance to play. And then this deck also has some cheesy OTKs that it can do going second. So then for the spell cards, I played 3 copies of LYRILUSC Bird Call. This is like the best card in the entire deck. This card is like, I don't know how to explain it. This card is like Cyber Emergency, but then you also can special summon a guy from your hand. So I don't know. This card is insane. It's the best card in the deck. It's the Rhoda. Then for the other one-ofs, I play 1 for 1. Like everything's level 1, and there are certain combos, like 1-card combos with 1 for 1. 1 copy of Tanky in order to get to your Fractal helps tie the deck together. 1 Call by the Grave. You do lose to cards like Droll. It makes it harder for you to play, and this card is just like a really great defensive card. So I played 1 copy of Droll. Then for the board breakers, which was like the main difference between our list, I played 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More and 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets. Shout out to Peter for the ultis.
You know it, bro. The deck's gotta be nice.
Yeah, bro. But I decided to play these this weekend instead of playing hand traps. I just felt like I expected mainly the Mirror and Phantom Knights were the main decks that I respected this weekend. I thought this, and it also helps that these cards I also hit Drytron, which were I just really respected the combo decks this weekend. I didn't really respect any of the control decks. I didn't think that Sorcerer was that good in particular, and I think that these were the most impactful cards of the weekend. Whenever I drew them, I just felt that like it didn't matter what board my opponent put up going first, I could still win. Because like no deck really beats these cards except for this deck. And this deck has a combo to beat these cards. No other deck really can do that without hard drawing like a card like IO. And then the last card of the deck, the one TRI-BRIGADE Oath. You can set this card up in your combo, and basically it allows you to dodge cards like Dark Ruler and Droplets by negating it. It's basically a hot red from the grave.
Okay, and then Justin, do you want to go over your differences?
Yeah, so he played 3 Barrel Canary and 3 Wagtail. So I cut these to 2 basically in the deck because I wanted to play like a more generic card to be able to always guarantee that I play the game, which is just Prosperity. So you notice like there's 2. I played 41 actually. So these 3 were actually just the 2 extra birds he paid for the variables. I just liked the Prosperity more because I didn't want to open hands of just multiple non-starter birds because Wagtail and Sparrow just don't do anything on their own unless you have other cards to facilitate with them. So that's why I really liked Prosperity with it. And then, like you said, he played his board-breaking cards like Droplet and Dark Ruler. I played Ash Blossom and Nibiru. So Nibiru was actually like super crazy because a lot of people just don't respect it. It's the only hand trap I felt that hit all the 3 decks: Sword Soul, Phantom Knight, and Birds. But looking back on it, I would probably play like Imperm at some point in like some sort of hand trap spot. I don't know which one yet because against Birds in particular, they set up Draco feature and then the normal kit, they banish for to go for the Oath play for the Shurok combo. If you Imperm that kit, it like really hurts them. It hurt us like both a lot.
That
this
happened
week.
to us multiple times this weekend where they impermed their kid and then we just passed her.
Yeah, we passed with just kid
passed
Draco
on
feature.
Draco feature.
And then I just like to Ash because it was like generically good against like because a lot of people were playing DPE decks, and I just like to have a card that was generically good to hit everything. And then instead of Callby, I just played Foolish because I just wanted another card to start. But like essentially, the theme of the deck was still like the flavor of the deck was still pretty much the same.
Okay.
Okay, and then for the extra deck, I'll go over the links first. Once the Morgue is one of the boss monsters of the deck. You want to end on this turn 1 and summons your Apex from the deck. And then another thing, this is the card that makes like Strikers like almost unlosable. Funny enough, Strikers was my only loss today. But this card is insane. Like basically, all the winged beasts it points to can't be targeted, so it turns off cards like Afterburner
Itself
and
as
like
well.
and itself. This card is actually insane. And it's easy to summon with the Tri monsters. For the Tri links, I played 1 for Jet and 1 Omen. You need them for the combo. Then they're also just very good generic cards to make with your Tri monsters. And yeah, so I just like these cards a lot. It was some. We talked about potentially playing the second Omen. I played a second of another card in the extra deck, and he played a completely different extra deck card. But when I was theorying the deck with some of my friends and even talking to like Justin, we were saying that there's like one spot in the extra deck that's super flexible that can pretty much be anything, and we kind of narrowed it down to like 3 cards that it should be, and it's either the second Omen, Appaloosa, or another card that of 2 that I played in the extra deck. For the rest of the links, you got to play 1 Double Dragon Lord. This is your Beast Warrior for the Oath combo at the end of your combo, and then 1 Almirage for like awkward hands where you open like a small bird or like open like Kit or Nerval to like start. Then for the XCs, this is the XCs that I decided to play 2 of. I played 2 AA Zoos. So basically, I thought that this card was really high impact, especially in the grind, like when your opponent, especially when you go second. I felt like this card was needed at 2 because like when you go second, you attack with one of the LYRILUSC XCs that I'm going to get into, and then you summon Zeus, you clear the board, but usually that's not enough in order to just win the game immediately, and then they just out your Zeus. And then I think that the second Zeus, like kind of like how like Pure Zoo did like a couple of months ago, I think like the second Zeus like seals the game. Like once you get to the second Zeus for 4 materials, like they can't out it. And that happened multiple times this weekend where like I summoned the second Zeus and they couldn't get over the 4th send everything. I thought that's just insane. Then you play 1 Downard for the Zeus. Then you play the Utopic package, which is Utopic Future and Utopic Future Draco. This is these are the 2 cards that you kind of make before you go commit into your combo, and it's a card that basically you put up before they have to nib you on this, or else like there's no other point that they can nib you unless they have like nib Imperm or nib Veil or something. This is like your insurance. 1 copy of Assembling Nightingale. This card is like very familiar for people that play like Drytron. It basically just like guarantees Zeus because it can't like it protects itself and it can attack directly, and then its last effect actually comes up in this deck.
So this is Zeus?
Yeah, so this card allows you to like guarantee Zeus, and it was played in Drytrons for that reason. For the new card, rank 1 of the deck is Assembly Robin.
One sec, if you want to go over the LYRILUSC real quick. So it lets you actually just kill your opponent with double Nightingale because the way the ruling works is that the Nightingale says that you guys would take the damage simultaneously.
Yeah.
But the Nightingale then says that you wouldn't take any damage from including your guys. But the ruling says that basically your opponent takes the damage from the recital and then none from this. So you just pump up all their guys with their recital, hit twice into that, and you could just choose a win from those 2.
Yeah.
And it's really disgusting.
And then this card is Magic Spectre Unicorn. This card just bounces.
It's not once per turn,
It's not once per turn. Every time your opponent special summons a monster, you detach, target one of those monsters, bounces to the hand, and it's based on the amount of material it has, and it's not once per turn. This is one of the end board pieces. And then for the actual like boss monster of the whole deck,
Through recital,
Recital is the best. Yo, this might be like one of the best cards in the game at the moment. This card's insane. It's 2 level 1s. You detach, you add any winged beast. Your whole deck revolves around winged beast. And then the coolest part about this card is on summon, it boosts a monster on the field by 300 times the amount of material it has under it. So you can like cheese your opponent by boosting their monsters. And then this card's last effect says when it battles, both players take damage based on like the damage that you take, and this obviously is at 0, so you'd both just take like a bunch of damage. And like when you combo it with Nightingale is how you do it. You can actually just like make it that only your opponent takes the damage. So like you can like double pump their monsters and then crash both the recitals into their monster, and like only they take the damage.
And Jeff didn't know that you need 2 wins to win a match.
Oh yeah, so
because he said go for him, it's irrelevant.
So in top 4, I actually top 8. Yeah, we lost in top 4.
Yeah, so he won game 1.
Yeah.
Game 2, he
No,
goes.
it was top 4.
It was top 8. You lost. This is when you did it.
No,
You won the
All right,
next
what
one.
happened?
Oh yeah. It was top 8. It was top 8. I'm tripping. No.
So
no.
he makes triple recital.
I make triple recital.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes crash for a draw. And I was like, I win because I win a game. I was like, no, Jeff, you have to win 2 games to win a match.
Yeah, literally, I boosted his monster to like 4,700 attack. I made triple recital, just crashed all 2 recitals into it, and then I was like, all right, so now we're both at 0 life points. But I was like, oh, I'm up a game, so I win the match. And he's like, no, you just shuffle your decks and then go to game 3. I'm like, oh, but then I still beat him.
Yeah, but it's like, bro. So the only difference of the extra deck, like he said, is like we couldn't decide what the last flex card to be. It's either Zeus, Appaloosa, or Omen. I ended up playing Appaloosa because I respected Nib a lot, and I wanted to be able to like play through Nib and some like weird niche situations. For like Phantom Knight, Sword Soul, and Drytron, you can like crack through that board and just end follow it through, and it's really hard for them to break through it. So yeah, that's why I ended up in Appaloosa over this Omen. But I don't know like what I would do for the future. But I think the other 14 cards are just core. Like,
Yeah, this is the boss monster of the deck. It's the boss monster.
Like,
I don't care about this card. This is the boss.
Yeah.
This is the best card in the deck.
So the other 14 are just core.
Yeah, the whole deck literally revolves around this card.
All right, you want to get to your side deck? 'Cause our side deck's a little different.
Yeah, our side decks are different from each other. So for my side deck, I sided 3 copies of Mystic Mine. Yeah, it's mine. You're playing a combo deck. Your opponent takes out the spell and trap removal. You mine them, and you try to like you can like do the OTK really easily under mine, because a lot of the times they'll have 3 to 4 monsters, and your OTK only requires you to have 3 monsters on the board, and then like you can just attack and kill them. For background removal, I decided to play 1 Storm, 1 Reboot, 1 Lightning Storm. Landon, shout out to Landon for letting me borrow 1 Lightning Storm for the event. I drew it like twice and it never resolved. But like,
You beat Joe with it. You
yeah, I beat Joe with it. I was winning either way. But like, yeah, I lightning storm him. Then for the unfair card, 3 copies of Harpy's Feather Storm. This card says like if you control like a winged beast, right? Winged beast, you flip it and it adds the thoughts to your opponent for the turn. I don't know why. I don't understand how this card exists.
It's even more ignorant too because you can do it in response to a monster.
Yeah, so
effect.
you can like chain it.
Yeah, you can chain it to like so they have to commit cards. You can chain it and it negates.
And then it just like negates everything.
It negates their activated effects. It's kind of nice.
Like it didn't happen in this tournament, but like if you draw like really terrible, like you could just like normal summon like a little chicken. Just set this. Your opponent tries to you just next turn.
You pass their turn.
You pass turn. Like this card's insane.
It's also a good card if you get Dark Ruler or Drop with because it still like skips the turn if they're
it's so easy to set up. You could just sit on this and like post side. You're always siding this, and so like you full combo and then you activate this, and it's like game. Like there's no way your opponent can beat you. Like if you full combo and have this, like it's unwinnable for your opponent. Then the last going first card post side, I sided in 1 copy of Imperial Order. So these are the 4 that I'm siding in going first. I'm just trying to like be as ignorant as possible and just like win the game. I sided the other 2 copies of DD Crow. This is mainly for Phantom Knights. I think this is like one of the best cards that beat the Scythe combo because you just DD Crow the Scythe. And like against decks like Drytron, like you side this and going first because like your triple recital, you're just like searching 2 DD Crows with 2 recitals. And it's really strong. And then like the last 3 cards, I'll just show it off. I never resolved it, but it was the spicy tech for the weekend. 3 copies of Ghost Reaper with cherries.
It's for mainly just the mirror.
It's mainly just the mirror. So if you Ghost Reaper in the mirror, it basically has a similar effect of Droll because guess what? You're hitting the card that searches. So you just banish all 3 of their recital and you basically just Drolled them. And it makes it that they can't OTK you and like their first turn, like they have to open really specific in order to play through this card, or else it's just like Ensemble Pass or like some more DDL Pass.
So for the only differences, I kind of wish this was just a reboot. I agree with them, but I ended up just playing 2 storms instead of the 1/1/1. And then so actually like the theory behind it was kind of cool because if he plays against his opponent and then he mines his opponent and we're both playing the same deck, my opponent's gonna think I'm playing mine. So then they're gonna like commit and like try to play around it a little. But I wasn't playing mine at all. I was just playing more hand traps. So I played the best high impact hand trap to cover like every possible like matchup, Gamma. So I liked it a lot versus like everything because you can hit across the board. It's pretty nice. Like I agree with him. Side the second DD Crow. It comes up too where. When you're cracking a Phantom Knight board, even when you crow their Scythe, the second one comes up because when they resolve and let their DPE go, you just crow the DPE. And there's some niche spots like where, when you're having trouble cracking the board, some working special Cobalt, just search the crow and you just hit the card, just the drop, but because I didn't main it. I wanted the card that just didn't lose the anti-spell specifically, but this one didn't, and it helps you just like trade against certain cards post side. But another thing though, the reason why I didn't like maining it, and like with the board breakers, I hated the fact that if I opened my 5 cards in my hand, I would have to wait like 10 minutes for my opponent to combo out to see whether if I drew this as my 6th card to know if I need a scoop or not, which was kind of dumb. So I just didn't want to play it in my deck for that specific reason because then I could scoop fast, we go to game 2 and game 3 faster that way. But yeah, I still think it was really good and needed to be played. Yeah.
All right, so any shout outs you guys want to give?
Definitely shout out to the bakery. Shout out to the barbershop. That's my Discord. Shout out to all the boys. Shout out to Lund. Shout out to Tubbs. Shout out to Astro. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Peter. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Fark for building Peter's Phantom Knight deck that you guys are gonna see. Shout out to Enzo. He's the buy. But yeah, and then also shout out to my team and sponsored Team Playmakers.
Well, shout out to Jib for telling me to play Sky Striker because he didn't believe in me to learn the bear deck when I started learning on Thursday. Yeah, but for real though, shout out to Jib because he like helped me a lot with this deck and I picked up a lot on this stuff like pretty quickly, but he was like very very helpful like with teaching me the deck. And then shout out to all my boys from Cincinnati who made the trip with us. It's coming up to Denver with us. Kind of booked this flight last minute too because Jib asked me to be on his team Monday.
Yes.
I ended up like topping yesterday and today, so it was kind of nice. And just shout out to Jib's community.
Last minute flight, and then he tops both days. I literally
go.
bubbled yesterday and topped today.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, thanks for the profile, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks.